Welcome back, baking friends. Lovely to see you again. And today I'm going to be making some OTA chocolate digestives. Some in the States and Canada might not have heard of digestive biscuits, but if you watch Great British Bake Off, also known as the Great British Baking Show, you will have seen or heard of these biscuits, or cookies as you call them. They're a nice oaty biscuit. I add extra oats to mine and they are topped with some nice chocolate. I have done some with milk chocolate, some with dark chocolate. You can of course do a little mix of both, maybe add some salted caramel chocolate, that would be lovely. But I'm going to show you just how quick and simple it is to make these, and you can try them at home. Oh, and just another little pointer as well. These are what we in the UK use to make the bases of cheesecakes and things like that. Most people buy them out of a packet and well-known brand, but it's just as simple to make your own and that little bit healthier too. Okay, so I'm just going to show you my cast of characters, also known as the ingredients for these. So this here is our wholemeal whole wheat flour, plain wholemeal flour. This here as well is actually porridge oats. Now you might be saying, well, they look a little bit on the small side. It is hard to get fine porridge oats. So all I've done is put it in the blitzer. I'll show a picture up on the screen of the size they were before and what they are now. That kind of consistency you're looking for. Also, butter. I cube it into about a centimetre, half, maybe a third of an inch cube kind of a size. This is cold butter too. We've also got some light brown sugar, not an awful lot because these aren't particularly sweet. Got some salt, and I've got some baking soda, or bicarbonate soda as it's known here. Got my other cast of characters, some spoons and things. Also importantly, we have a pastry blender, pastry cutter, what you want to call it. This is really handy for scones and things and making pastry. I prefer it than using a food processor. You can of course use your fingers, and I'll come to that soon, but I find that this helps me when my fingers get sore easily. So let's get on with making those cookies, shall we? So here I'm going to start off by adding all my dry ingredients together. Flour, porridge oats, salt, and the baking powder. Not baking powder, the bicarb, so known as bicarbonate soda. So just give it all a mix through. Then what we want to do is add in our butter. Give it a little toss around. That's what I like to do first. Any that are stuck together, break them up. Give it a good coat around. That is cold butter, so handy dandy pastry cutter, pastry blender, you push down and you do a rotating motion left and right. Now as you can see, bits get stuck in it, which is fine because it is cold butter we're using, or just off cold. Just clear it out as you go along. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix again. You want an even distribution as you possibly can get, and just keep doing this until we get the consistency we want. Right, I'm just going to show you how to do it by hand if need be. Now I'm going to do something that they never do in the telly. Take your rings off, and my nice little ring dish there, handmade by a friend Phil. I'll link below for that. And get your clean hands in, grab the flour and the butter between your fingertips, and you are rubbing it together. You're kind of squishing it, rubbing it, and you're lifting it up. You're getting a bit of air in there as well. You don't want lots of air because we're not making cakes, we're making biscuits. I'm kind of squishing it around. I'm trying to lift up the dry bits. You want to get as much flour onto the butter as possible, for the butter even to take on as much flour as possible. Now I'm going to just pause the camera, and I am going to wash my hands, and I'm going to put it in the processor to show you that, well look, you've actually just used the processor to blitz your porridge oats. Why not use it for this point? It's too, but you don't want to blitz it too far. Now I've used the food processor and I'll add pics to the top of the screen just to show you the consistency that this should be. Now what we're going to do next is we are going to add in our light brown sugar. Now this is entirely optional. I have here some desiccated coconut, shredded coconut. It's finer than American, so you might want to put in the food processor at the same time. I'm going to keep this size, so I'm just going to pop it in now. And now just give it all a mix together. Next, gradually add in your water or your milk, a teaspoon or so at a time, squeezing the dough together until it comes together in one mass. Prepare your cling film plastic wrap, knead it together, and this is the consistency you're looking for. Wrap in the cling film and chill for half an hour in the fridge. Now I've chosen to roll out the dough on some baking or parchment paper. Pressing it down to get an even thickness, I'm just going to roll it out with a rolling pin. You could use a second sheet of paper if you like. We're looking for a 3mm or 1/8 of an inch thickness. Now if the dough has cracks on the edges, as you can see here in the video, it means that the dough is a touch too dry. Pat your fingers in some water and just dab around the edges. You don't want to add too much liquid or you're going to have to chill the dough again. Then just wash the ends together as so. Continue rolling out until you reach the correct thickness. Today I'm using a fluted side of my cookie cutter, just pushing down and giving it a very slight twisting motion, and it releases the cookie really easily. Continue cutting out, placing on your tray, rolling up the scraps until you have finished the dough. Closing the cookies, chill before baking about 8 to 10 minutes. So this is them out of the oven, and this is the kind of colour that you want. Just a tiny touch of golden. Now when I was looking through the oven door, they looked very white, so it's a good idea to just go and have a check. Now I want to just show you the bottom will be a lot more coloured than the top, so just keep an eye on. So what I'm going to do now, so that they don't go too hard, still a little bit soft in the middle, just go around the edges. Use your paper to move it over. That is why paper is really good. The next stage, we will be melting the chocolate. We won't temper it because we don't need to. We will melt the chocolate and we will dip these in it. And we'll let it sit, and then we will have them to eat. If you wanted to do cheesecake or something like that, once these are cooled, completely cooled, you can crumble these. Next, chop up your chocolate that you've chosen to cover the cookies in. Chopping it up will make it easier to melt. Use a microwave or put in a bowl over a pan of barely simmering water. In the microwave, you heat on 30-second bursts, mixing well in between. You can see the progression here until you get to this kind of consistency. When you lift it up, it drips nicely. This one here has salted caramel pieces. To coat the cookie in chocolate, you can try using a spoon method. As you can see here, swirling it round, covering the complete top of the cookie, and then going round doing the edges. Coating the edges is entirely optional. I like more chocolate on my biscuit. Once coated, there are a few different methods you can try to make the lines. Here using sticks, I am scoring it across. You can try scoring the opposite direction, it does drag it. So I played about with this a few different methods, sometimes pausing in between them, sometimes cleaning the stick, or like this, pushing down on the biscuit. This time I am scoring by pulling the stick, and then I'm cleaning it. Can't see on the camera shot, but I'm cleaning in between each stroke. Then I did the pushing down of the stick, and in between each pushing down I cleaned the stick. And this did give a slightly more defined crisscross pattern, but it's entirely up to you which way you want to do it. Another method is to turn the wet cookie upside down on top of the cooling rack and let those marks appear on your cookie. Not as defined, but still the same idea. I preferred making the lines on the cookie very slowly and letting the first set of lines set up slightly. You can also just leave as is or top them with some coconut, then no one will know the difference. Here I'm trying a different method for coating them in chocolate by basically dipping the cookie inside the chocolate, giving it a little swirl around to make sure all of it's coated. Lift it up, tilt it, make sure it goes right to the edges, give it a little shake as well, it's a little bit loose consistency. And again here I am trying to make the marks on the cooling rack. Just leave them there for a few seconds. You can also go back over your lines, but only when the chocolate hasn't set. Leave out at room temperature, or you can place in the fridge to speed up the process of the chocolate setting. Alternatively, sprinkle with coconut now. Here they are, all set up nicely. I have to say I prefer the coconut ones, not just to look at, but to taste too. And in this shot you can see the inner texture of these yummy biscuits. I really like them this thickness. Some of them were a bit more than the 3mm, 1/8 of an inch, but hey, more biscuit. So here we have our finished wheaty digestive biscuits. Now I showed you a few different ways of how to mark the scores on them. You can leave no scores if you like, it's fine. Our chocolate wasn't as smooth because we had some salted caramel pieces in it, but that's fine. If you find it tricky, there's a few ways to do it, but also what I did is, when some of them were still wet, I actually put coconut on them. I'll show some more bigger pictures of that. The reason I've got a half one here is the boys have all decided to eat the coconut ones, and I only made a few of them. But here they are for you to see. And I'm just going to show you the inner texture, and now it's nice and thick, of the inside of our digestive biscuit. And with the coconut, it's actually quite nice as well, and this coconut inside gives it a nice little lift too. You could certainly play about with flavours if you like. I would suggest just make them as the recipe is first, and then afterwards have a little play around if you like. Not much sugar in them at all. I would also recommend, if you're into different sugars, you could try coconut sugar. I like that, it's unrefined, it's organic, and you can typically use about 25% less sugar than ordinary white processed sugar. I don't personally use sweeteners or artificial sweeteners. My body can't tolerate them, so I avoid them. I don't do recipes with them, but certainly you can try them. Just be aware though that for some things, if there's creaming involved, creaming method to get air into anything, like cakes for instance, the powdered artificial sugars will not give the same end result because of the size, that they're powdery rather than granules. But on another note, these are absolutely yummy. They are not very sweet, so if you want them a little bit sweeter, you could just play about with your toppings. You could get kids making them when they are getting their hands in and getting the chocolate everywhere, licking their fingers. They could also put loads of sprinkles on top, whatever they like. Dress them up. You could certainly do white chocolate ones as well, whatever you like. So thank you very much for watching this video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my videos and my recipes, why not consider subscribing to my YouTube channel? It's free to subscribe, and if you do subscribe, nice little trick too is actually to click the little bell icon that is on the screen, and then you will receive notifications every time I upload a new video for you to watch, so you won't miss anything. However, you can still go and look at the playlists that are on YouTube anytime you like. Bye for now, Baker! Why don't you try Chocolate Digestives?